Hello. I wanted to make a video about Disney and just kind of traveling in general with babies and young children, and some of the things that we brought that I'm really glad that we brought, some of the things that we brought that I didn't even use, and some of the things that I wish that we had brought but didn't. So I have a lot on my list. Let's jump right into it. I'm going to put links for as much as I can down in the description below, so if you're watching this and saying, oh my gosh, I wish I had that and that would come in handy, check the description because I'm gonna put all of it down there. Most of the stuff I got on Amazon, so it should be fairly easy to find. Let's start off with things that I'm glad that I brought. First one on my list is the Hatch for the hotel room. So we have one of those Hatch sound machines. We use it in his nursery all the time when he's napping and sleeping. We just have it on 24/7. And we brought that with us and had it in the hotel room. And I think it really helped. It helped even me drown out all the noise around us and the people walking down the halls or in the rooms next to us. And I definitely think that helped him sleep better. Fans for the strollers. I actually had 3 because I didn't want them to die. And in Disney World, that's especially important because it's really hot, even in September. And so I had one of the big fans on him all the time. When I had 2 smaller ones kind of as backup. They never ended up dying. I charged them in the beginning of the day and then they were good for the whole day. But I wanted backup just in case that they died. And a couple times I put one on me because it was very hot. I also brought the fan in the airplane with us, so I packed one in my diaper bag, which was my carry-on bag. I know that it gets hot on airplanes, and I was really worried about getting delayed and just like stuck on the airplane before we moved, and it being super hot and him being uncomfortable and getting cranky because of that. So I didn't end up using it, but I felt better knowing that we had a way to stay cool if it did have an issue like that. I have an organizer on my stroller. It has like spots for drinks, like cups, and then some different pockets and things. And I have it on all the time and I always use it. And it was especially helpful for traveling because I could store a whole bunch of things. I stored keys, I stored my phone, sunglasses, just all the little things that you're like, I need somewhere to put this. So that was really helpful to have. I'll link the organizer that I have, but there's a ton of different brands and types out there. So find one that works for you. There's a dog now because she's barking during nap time and trying to cut nap time short. So she's joining us. The next thing is Disney World specific. This could come in handy actually for like security purposes, but this is definitely a Disney tip. I'm out of breath from running down to get my dog. We put an IKEA bag, one of those like big blue canvas bags. You could use anything that's like a big canvas bag, and put it underneath the stroller, which made it really easy to pull out the things we needed when we went through security or we needed to fold our stroller up. We just pulled the whole bag out. You didn't have to fumble trying to put things into other bags and hold on to things, and it made it so much smoother. So definitely a bag for underneath the stroller. Just pick it up and you can go and fold it and do whatever you gotta do. My baby is formula fed, so we brought cans of formula. I actually put a can of formula in each of our carry-on or our checked bags. There was 4 adults who all had a checked bag. And I put a can of formula in each of them because I was really paranoid that we were gonna like lose a suitcase or something and therefore lose the formula. He's on a special formula, so we can't just go to the store and buy more. So I just put them in each individual's checked bag so that I wasn't worried that we were gonna be completely out of formula. I also brought individual like formula organizers so that I could just ration out his specific amount he needed for each bottle, not have to bring the whole can of formula to the parks with us, which was really handy, especially on the airplane. I just already had it rationed out and then I could use it on the plane without having to like open the whole container of formula. There's a few different types of those formula organizers. I have one that I prefer for like nighttime that we use and one that I prefer for in the diaper bag because it fits better, but I'll link as many as I can in the description. I brought his little bottle like cooler bag that we usually use to put ice packs in and keep his milk cold, but I didn't put any ice packs in. I just kind of carried them, so I had the water already prepared in the bottles and I had the individual organizer containers for the formula, and then I just would mix it as we needed it and use it then, and then just couldn't save it because I didn't have any freezer like packs. So I thought that was really handy because then I could just store it all in that bag, take it out when I needed it. I put the dirty ones back in the bag and then washed them at the end of the day when I got a chance. Tylenol I had with us all the time. I kept one in the diaper bag, I kept one in my suitcase, I kept one in the hotel room. I had a lot. I did give him Tylenol before the plane ride because I was worried about his ears popping and that bothering him. It didn't seem to bother him though. I don't know if the Tylenol helped or not. A few times in the parks, he was kind of fussy and seemed uncomfortable, so I kind of was liberal with my Tylenol use. We don't have like an issue using it or anything, but I definitely think it's useful to have on hand, and if you like need it, you're gonna need it right away. Pedialyte was another thing that we brought. I had little individual packets, so all I had to do was have a bottle of water and then the Pedialyte, and I would pour it into one of his bottles and then feed it to him that way. We made sure that we stayed hydrated in Florida. This was a good way to make sure that he was staying hydrated, because when he was really hot, he didn't seem like he wanted his milk as much. He wanted like something different. And so this was a good option to give him. And I also had Pedialyte on the plane because sometimes he won't take his bottle. He's a little bit tricky with his feeding sometimes, and I wanted to feed him during takeoff and landing. So I had Pedialyte as a backup just in case he wouldn't take the milk bottle. I wanted to give him a Pedialyte bottle so that his ears would still pop while we were taking off and landing. And I think he drank milk both times, but I felt better knowing that we had the Pedialyte there if we needed it. Got a portable sound machine that I had hooked onto the stroller all the time, and this came in handy in Disney World especially because we would use it while he was napping, turn it on, and it kind of drowned out all of the background noise. And I actually charged this before we left. We were on vacation for 6 days. I didn't have to charge it the whole time, so it definitely stayed charged for way longer than I expected. And it was a good volume, wasn't too loud for him, but blocked out all of the noise. Brought a handful of his favorite toys from home. I kept them all in a bag, in his diaper bag, and then I kept I kept half in the diaper bag and half in the hotel room. So when we had downtime, he would play with them in the hotel room, and then I would keep some attached to his stroller. I think I talk about this next, but we had toy attachments that you attach to the stroller. So I kept 2 on a stroller all the time, and then attached 2 toys and kind of rotated which toys were on there. Hold on, my dog needs help. So I kept 2 toys attached to the stroller at all times and then rotated which toys were on there so that it stayed interesting. But I think he liked having some toys that he was familiar with and had already played with and liked, and he seemed like he got like excited when he saw toys from home that he wasn't expecting. We used the toy attachments on the stroller and then also on high chairs, so when he was sitting there we could attach a toy or attach whatever we wanted to that we didn't want him to throw on the floor constantly. Also had pacifier clips. I just kept 1 clip to his shirt all the time, and then I would change them daily and wash the pacifiers in the hotel room, and that was really handy because then if we needed one, it was already attached to him and we didn't have to look through all of our belongings to try to find one. I had a fuzzy blanket that he likes. We don't usually use this fuzzy blanket, but we have another one that he tends to sleep with. We do a lot of co-sleeping and bed sharing, and we use a fuzzy blanket, so he's used to that and used to having it around him. And so I brought that on the plane, and he felt very cozy and was able to sleep with that. I also used it in the hotel room for naps, so I didn't put like the sheets on, I just used the fuzzy blanket, and he was right next to me and everything, so it was safe to use and I felt comfortable with it. But I think having something like comfortable and soothing was really helpful for the naps, especially on the go, on the airplane and things. It gave him some comfort. Most of his outfits were onesies and then a pair of shorts. One of the outfits was like a t-shirt and then a pair of pants, and I found the t-shirt to be way more annoying than the onesies. This is just personal preference, but I found it a lot easier to hold him and like move him around and pick him up with the onesies because it didn't keep riding up. With the shirt, it kept coming up and we had to keep pulling it down and it would get stuck when we put him in the baby carrier. So I just, for myself, pack more onesies and not really the t-shirts because it's just hard when you're moving around a lot. I had a receiving blanket in his diaper bag that I kept in there the whole time, and it came in handy a lot because I would lay down the receiving blanket at the airport in the corner, or just kind of wherever there was a clean-ish spot. I would lay down the blanket, lay him on top of it, and kind of put some toys on the blanket, and he was able to kick around, roll around, and it was a nice way for him to stretch his legs, not being in the stroller, not being held, and he really enjoyed it. Towards the end of our trip, we did that a lot more often because he was getting tired of being in the stroller and tired of being confined all the time. So that was definitely useful, and I would definitely do that again. In his diaper bag, I used these little organizer Ziploc bag kind of reusable things. And I had different categories. I had one that had the diaper bag stuff or the diaper changing stuff in it. So like his diapers, cream, wipes, so that I could just pull it out and use it. I had one that had toys in it, so I could just pull it out and use it. But the one that was really helpful was a mommy bag. One of my friends told me about this, so that's where I got it from. But it's a mommy bag, so it had like medicine for me, Tylenol, some Band-Aids, some gum. I put my charger, like phone charger, in there, so I put that in the very front of the diaper bag, so anytime I needed one of those things I could easily pull it out and get to it, and it was nice to know that I had all that in the diaper bag, but it wasn't really taking up a lot of space. Rain cover for the stroller was super helpful. Obviously for Florida, this might not be as helpful depending on where you're traveling, but for Florida, I definitely would bring some sort of cover for your stroller. It kept his seat dry even if he wasn't in it, and then all of the stuff underneath in the basket stayed dry as well, which was necessary because we had a lot under there. Last thing that I found really helpful was the way that I organized the clothes. I had a gallon-sized Ziploc bag, and I wrote the day and then whose it was. So I wrote like Monday, Animal Kingdom, Amy, and then put my clothes inside of that bag. And so then when it was Monday and it was time for Animal Kingdom, all I had to do was grab the bag out of the suitcase and it was ready to go. It was nice for the baby too because I kind of planned the outfits depending on what park we were going to that day. So then I planned ahead of time, stuck it all in the bags, and then was able to just pull it out and be ready to go. All right, let's talk about things that I brought that I actually didn't need. There was a few things on this list where I was like, oh no, I'll definitely use that. Like, I know it's big and I know it's bulky, but we'll totally use that. So I have to bring it with me. And that was not the case. First thing is those restaurant table covers. It's a really cool design. You just like peel off the back, it sticks to the table. You can put stuff on there, keep the table clean where the baby is, then you peel it off and throw it away. I love the design. I think it's cool to have, but we just didn't use it. He wasn't really big on like sitting in the high chair at the tables. He didn't really enjoy any of the meals that we had in the restaurants. So a lot of times we were taking him out of the restaurant and taking turns going back and forth and holding him and occupying him other ways. So we didn't really use it. If your baby likes that kind of stuff, you might use it, but mine didn't. Other thing were those teething crackers. It's a Gerber teething cracker, which he loves. He thinks they're delicious and he eats them and enjoys them and stuff, but they're really messy and they break apart and they get all over. They're really sticky afterwards, and he had it all on his like chin and his neck and his arms. It got in the stroller. It was really hard to clean out. So we also had puffs, which were a lot easier to give him in line and just like put in his mouth and be easy and clean. So definitely too messy for the teething crackers, but puffs were good. Portable phone charger I didn't use. I'm glad I had it in case I needed it, but I just didn't use it. My phone stayed charged the whole day. We usually took breaks in the afternoon so I could charge it then. And then the fans, the stroller fans, I charged overnight every night, and then they lasted the whole day, so didn't end up needing it. I packed like 4 sippy cups because I wanted to make sure he was hydrated and had water, and he's learning how to use these different sippy cups. I wasn't sure which one he would want depending on the day. I didn't use any of them. He either had his formula or he had Pedialyte just straight out of his bottles that he usually uses. So didn't use any sippy cups, and they took up a lot of room, so I wouldn't recommend that. Also brought a ton of burp cloths. He tends to spit up a lot. He has acid reflux and allergies and lots going on, and he spits up a lot. But for some reason in Florida, I don't think he spit up like at all. Maybe once or twice the whole trip, but I didn't use any burp cloths at all, and they took up a lot of space, so not necessary. Brought these specific wipes for pacifiers and hands, like to antibacterial, to sterilize them. I was really worried about all the germs that he was going to come in contact with, especially dropping pacifiers and just like touching everything, and I didn't use them at all. It seemed useful, but once we were in the moment, I didn't feel like I had time to wipe off every little thing that he was holding and grabbing, and they just stayed in the diaper bag and I didn't use them. I brought this really cute mini sterilizer that I was thinking every night I would sterilize his pacifiers and the nipples for the bottles so that they were clean and ready to go the next day, because we didn't have a dishwasher and I wasn't sure how clean they were gonna get, and I did not use it. I used it once and it was a big pain and took forever, and I feel like they didn't even really get any cleaner than just the dish soap in the bathroom. So I did not use it again, and it was huge and bulky, so I wouldn't recommend that one. Last one was this little mini chair. It's really cute and I think we will use it in the future, but it's like a portable high chair, like a camping chair with a little tray attached, and I thought we'd use it in the hotel room to give him food and maybe even bring it to the parks and he could like sit in it at restaurants or something. But it was too bulky. It was just too large. It didn't fit in the bottom of the stroller. We weren't really in the hotel room that much. When we were, it was usually for naps or just to like let him roll around on the floor. He didn't want to be contained, so that took a lot of room in the suitcase and I wouldn't recommend that one. Last category is things that I wish I had but didn't bring. The first one for that one is more onesies. For some reason, I packed outfits for all the days and had it all planned out, but I didn't pack like a onesie for bedtime. Usually he wears like PJs to go to bed, and I didn't pack any of that. So I would definitely bring more onesies because I used all of them between like having some accidents that we needed to change his clothes or just being dirty or sweaty or whatever. I wish I had more onesies to change him into. Next one is water bottles. We bought 2 big packs of water bottles at the grocery store when we got there and used them for formula and just for ourselves. We would refill it at the parks, but I gave him just water from the water bottles for his bottles and Pedialyte and all of that. Went through 2 whole packs of water bottles, so I wish we would have got a 3rd one. I didn't think we'd need so much water. I really like our stroller. We have the Graco Modes Priamette, I think is what it's called. I'll link that one. I really like it for everyday use. I've used it a lot. I like the setup. I like that I was familiar with it. It was really hard to fold. So if you're going to Disney World, I don't recommend this one because you have to like take apart the top and then the base, and you have 2 separate things, and then whatever was in the stroller and a baby. So it took all 4 adults to hold pieces of the stroller and the baby and the things that were in it, and that was just a hassle. So if I was going by myself or just me and my husband, it wouldn't have been possible to use the stroller. So for that, I wish I had a more easily foldable stroller. Also wish I had a better carrier. We had like a baby carrier, which my husband uses quite a bit. It's comfortable on him, but it just fits me weird. It doesn't feel comfortable for me. So I wish I would have had a way to like hold him without using my arms and have it be a little bit easier on like my back and just be more free in general. So if anybody has a good baby carrier they like, let me know. Last one is a Sharpie. We had water bottles in our hotel room that we would like drink from, but then we would put it down and forget whose water bottle was whose. Or I had some specifically for the baby's bottles that like hadn't been drank out of and needed to be used for more formula again. So it would have been nice to have just like a Sharpie or some way to mark the water bottles and whose was whose and what the purposes were for. So that would have been easy to just throw into the diaper bag. All right, that's all I have for you. Like I said, I will link as much as I can down in the description. I tried to keep this as short as I possibly could for you and still get all the information out there. I feel like I'm much more prepared for our next trip, and that a lot of the stuff that I did bring ended up being helpful, so I'm glad I did. Let me know down below if there's anything that you found super helpful for your vacations that you've gone on with your babies and little kids, and then we can all look through the comments and get some more ideas from there. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.